Are RVs a ripoff? Well, they absolutely can be, and in many instances they are. However, if you're very careful in how you research, plan, and purchase an RV, they don't have to be considered a ripoff, and they're not. So first, let me say this. When it comes to buying anything, and specifically for this video regarding an RV, the higher the retail price, the bigger the profit margin. So example, if you were to purchase a $100,000 RV, that's considered pretty high. The profit margin may be 50 or 60%, meaning it only cost the RV company 50 or 60,000 to make that vehicle. So there's a lot of room in there that's profit. So the lower the cost, the RV, the lower the profit margin. In general speaking terms, when it comes to cars, I've always heard that you should always expect or always negotiate at least 10 or 20% off the MSRP. So off the sticker price of a regular vehicle, you should always negotiate at least 10 to 20% off that. Definitely I would say start there with the RVs, but when it comes to an RV, the first part of it, you have to really analyze before you go to the dealership, because once you step foot on the dealership, it's an emotional decision, okay? Before you go to the RV dealership, it's a mathematical, logical decision. But as soon as you cross that threshold and your feet step foot on the RV dealership, emotions will take over and the mathematical logic of your decision will be overridden by emotion. So make sure to spend a lot of time prior to going to the dealership in researching the math, the numbers, the logic of the deal. And so, first thing you have to really ask yourself, is this going to be a primary RV for full-time living? Are you going to take this recreational vehicle, that's what RV stands for, and make it your permanent dwelling and just travel around the country or travel around the state or park it on a piece of property that you own? That's key, because if you're going to purchase an RV as a primary dwelling and you plan to be a permanent resident in it, then there's different logic involved, right? Because you can write off tax on your taxes, the interest rate of the RV, and it can be a little bit beneficial if you own a piece of property and you're going to buy a small travel trailer, because sometimes you'd be better off Many times you'd be better off if you own a piece of property, instead of putting a mobile home or something like that, if you can buy a $15,000 or under cheap travel trailer, then the depreciation is not bad and you're not wasting a lot of money, so it's not a ripoff. Because when you're dealing with RVs, that's the big hurdle that you're facing, is that an RV depreciates in value, meaning it goes down in value over time. Land or a house goes up in value over time. However, there's more entanglement with a house, there's more maintenance, and there's more things outside of your control, with insurances, with all the different, utilities, and, a travel trailer or some cheap RV, you can use it for 10 years and throw it out, and, you're not going to get anything back from it, but you got a place to live, or you hit the road or whatever. So, again, you have to start with asking yourself, what's this vehicle going to be used for, part-time or full-time? And then you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to tow something or do you want to drive something? Okay, because the tow things, they go anywhere from a $10,000, maybe brand new travel trailer, all the way up to a fifth wheel, which could be close to $100,000 depending. So you have to look at, why are you getting into an RV so that you don't get ripped off? Are you getting into an RV as a single person, as a couple that's retired, that's an empty nester? Ask yourself, why are you interested in purchasing an RV? Let that determine the size and the style of your RV. Because obviously, if you're older, I don't want to think you you want to be dragging around a fifth wheel, and you may not even want a tow vehicle because of your age. You certainly may not want a big one. Same thing with regards to a motorhome. So the same way I look at housing now, that I'm not anti-house, I just realize there's a lot of entanglement in there, and if you're not careful, you could get anchored down to some place that may just drain your financial resources and your time and your energy. It's the same thing with an RV, though, and that's why I've been so cautious to purchase one. It's not necessarily a bad thing, RV. It's not necessarily a ripoff. But you have to take your time and analyze what's the purpose that you're purchasing it. And then start at your basic needs. And then work your way up to some wants. And then realize the higher you go up in cost, the higher is the ripoff. Because the higher the profit margin for the RV dealership, the more expensive it will be probably to maintain. The more expensive it will be for fuel maintenance, for fuel cost. So those are things that you have to start to look at. Start from the bottom, build your way up. And then, look at how much you're really going to be on the road, or if you're going to be stationary. Because on the road, if you're going to full-time on the road, then you would want to look at a motorhome. If you weren't going to full-time on the road and you're only going to travel once in a while, I don't know if you'd want to get a motorhome. Because why would you want to be on wheels if you're not going to be moving that often? I get the attraction of not wanting to tow something. Again, we're talking about a motorhome RV now versus a travel trailer. But a travel trailer, if you buy a small, cheap one, it could be less of a ripoff because you don't have a motor and you don't have a major maintenance of a motorhome. It's basically just a dwelling that you're dragging around. However, you are dragging something around. And so now you're getting into camping cost and fuel cost. And so, that's what you have to start to add up to, is all the associated cost with camping if you're going to be traveling around. Not just, okay, I can get the 1,000 Trails camping pass and I can spend less than $1,000 a year and camp unlimited. You also have to look at what's your projected fuel cost, where you're going to be traveling, and the associated costs with being on the road, maybe more food cost, etc. So, look, if done right, the bottom line is, even though an RV is a depreciating asset, even though there's many reasons that people buy an RV, whether it's to put it on their property, to travel around, whether they're young, middle-aged, or elderly, and if they want a big one or a small one, the bottom line when it comes to it is an RV a ripoff? The answer is everything made for sale in the world is made to make a profit. No company makes a product to lose money. Therefore, it could be said that everything's a ripoff. However, if you're conscious of the higher something costs, the more profits baked in the price. And if you're conscious to say, hey, look, how much do I need? And then let me balance that with what is below my means. If you honestly look at your lifestyle and look at how much you're going to be traveling, what type of RV you need, and purchase correctly, it doesn't have to be a big ripoff. Are you spending money? Yes. Is the company going to make a profit? Yes. But, look, if you look at a house and buying a house in an area, and the property taxes, the maintenance, the utility bills, the insurances, it could be said that, a house could be a ripoff, depending, okay? So the bottom line is always purchase once you have researched, informed, and are somewhat logical before you step on the RV dealer lot and become emotional. 2 is have an exit strategy. Where do you see yourself 5 years or 10 years down the road? Some idea. No one can predict the future. But the statistics are that after 3 to 5 years, the average person trades in their RV, whether to get another one or to get out of RVing completely. So just take a little bit of glimpse into the future and see where you may be. And then the bottom line is, do what you want. It's your money. It's your money. And when something is your money, certainly you don't want to get ripped off, but certainly you don't want me or anyone else to tell you how to spend your money because you've earned it and it's the fruits of your labor. But this is what I think when it comes to RVs, a ripoff. They can be. There's a lot of maintenance. They're not that well built because they are not really regulated that well as far as for housing, because they're not meant for housing. They're meant for a recreational purpose. Thus, their title recreational vehicle. The higher up in cost you go to purchase one, the more entanglement, the more depreciation that you're baking into your purchase. But if purchased wisely, if you're not rushing, if you're honestly looking at your lifestyle and you're being almost like a strategic surgeon, you're still going to possibly lose money because, you're buying something, okay? However, you may be purchasing comfort, convenience, and experiences in life that you can enjoy. And so hopefully me running through the thought process of if an RV is a ripoff is somewhat helpful. And think beyond the idea of RVing. Think beyond like you just traveling the road with the windows down and traveling to beautiful locations. Think about what happens, if you have to put that RV in the shop. How many components does that RV have? How handy are you? How do you like to drive? Do you like to drive a lot, a little? Are you comfortable driving a bigger rig or towing something? And, ask yourself those serious questions before going on the lot and before purchasing one. Because, that's a real reality of the RV life. That the RV dealerships are selling the idea of freedom, but many times, not all, many times people purchase the idea of freedom. They get out on the road and they don't feel free. They feel trapped in a depreciating asset. However, some people love RVing and they continue to do it for years, maybe even their entire lifetime. And it provides them a way to live somewhat cheap and to live their best life. So that's the overall rundown on my thoughts if an RV is a ripoff. Best of luck to you on your journey. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Check out my playlist about the Nomad life. I have a bunch of videos about that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love.